Hello, third grade. For language arts, we are going to continue with our reflexive pronouns. So let's get started. So our reflexive pronouns, again, these are pronouns that reflect, reflexive, reflects, kind of go together, a noun or a pronoun by taking the place of its antecedent. So it's taking the place in the predicate when the noun or pronoun is doing something to itself. So our reflexive pronoun always refers back to the subject. Our subject and our reflexive pronoun always have to match. And they end in self, if that's the singular form, but they end in selves if it is in the plural form. So here are our singular pronouns, singular reflexive pronouns: myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself. And our plural reflexive pronouns include ourselves, yourselves, themselves. So make sure to write these down. So this is what we talked about last time between our personal pronouns and our reflexive pronouns. Remember, Adam emailed him a copy of the report. So him, if it doesn't end in self or selves and doesn't reflect back to the subject, then it's just a personal pronoun. Him is not a reflection of Adam because he didn't send it to himself. So he's not talking about Adam, he's talking about someone else. So that's going to be the difference. If it doesn't have self or selves, it's not referring back to the subject and it's not reflexive. But if we wanted to make it reflexive, we could say Adam emailed himself a copy of the report. So Adam sent Adam a copy of the report. It's referring and reflecting back to our subject. So here's another example with our personal pronouns and our reflexive pronouns. So if I say Allison accidentally cut her with the scissors, if I'm using her, I'm not talking about Allison. She accidentally cut someone else. So it's not reflecting back and it doesn't end with self or selves. But if I say Allison accidentally cut herself, since it ends in self or selves, I'm referring back to the subject, to the sentence is about. I'm referring back to Allison. All right, so to go over it again, remember our reflexive pronouns refer back to or reflect the subject, and they always end in self or selves. Self singular, selves plural, which is more than one. There are only 8 reflexive pronouns, so we need to remember them, and how to use them should be a snap. So let's go over our 8 reflexive pronouns one more time. So here are our reflexive pronouns, and I would write down this chart again. It should have been written down Monday we went over this. Tuesday we went over this. So hopefully you still have your notes and you can look back at this. So remember, if this is our subject and we are using a reflexive pronoun talking about the subject in the later on in the sentence, we have to use these. So I goes with myself, you goes with yourself, she, herself, he, himself, it, itself, and if it's plural and my subject is we, I say we, ourselves, if I'm talking about you plural, yourselves, and they plural, themselves. So now let's use it with some examples. So now here's our sentences, and we have to put a pronoun in that refers back to the subject. So the subject is in bold, and so it says the old barn fell in on blank after the storm. So make sure to write down your reflexive pronouns. So the old barn is our subject. So the old barn, is it singular or plural? We're talking about one, so it's singular. It's not a he, him, or a her. It's not a boy or girl. It's an it. So then I would say it fell on itself. It fell on itself. So I'm referring to the old barn and itself. They go together. So then if I see the passengers kept to blank on the long train ride. So I'm looking back at my subject. Remember, if I need to find the subject, I go to my verb and I can answer who or what. So who or what kept on the long train ride? The passengers kept. Is the passengers singular or plural? It's plural. And how do I know that? It ends in an S or an ES. That's how we know that it is plural, unless it's irregular. But this one's not irregular, it ends in an S. So we're talking about more than one. So now I know that I'm either using the reflexive pronouns of yourselves, ourselves, or themselves. And I use ourselves when I'm talking about me and someone else. but this is just them. I'm not included, so I'm using themselves. All right. So our last time going over our reflexive pronouns. So I just added a little bit in here. So if we see she as a subject or a girl's name, we would say herself. If we say he as a subject or a boy's name, singular, himself. If I'm just talking about a random object, but one, I would say itself. And with our plurals again, if I say we, but when I'm saying we, I'm talking about me, Ashley and I, me and someone else, that's when we would use ourselves. And if I'm talking about they or themselves, I could be saying the subject could be students. It's more than one person, but doesn't include me. So that's when we would use themselves. So take time, take some notes. Remember, look back at the subject, decide singular or plural, and then find the matching reflexive pronoun. Thank you and have a great day.